today we have Samantha Cook Photography. She's based in the UK. Thank you for joining me. So you've been doing some weddings in France, and how are you liking it?
Absolutely love it. The lighting in France is just amazing for couple shots. If I could do all of my weddings there, that would be amazing.
Oh my God. So what's the difference with the lighting?
It's that beautiful sunset that you get at sort of dusk time. There's just something about the French sunshine that you don't quite get here in the UK.
That's it. And what I used to love as well is they're not kind of polluted by lights at night time as well. So your stars are just out as well. They just pop out, and you don't have any pollution with light at all. So dark in the evenings, but great for nighttime photos as well. So
absolutely stunning.
So you're based in the UK and you travel over to France to do the weddings. Just tell me a bit about where you do you kind of come as a package, and you have a couple of nights staying in the area that they're getting married? What's your kind of routine with the couple?
So usually I would travel up the day before and then get the opportunity, if I haven't already, to have a look around the venue, get to know everybody that's in the venue, anyone that's working, kind of make myself known, make myself familiar with the rooms and where everything's going to be held. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, the couple are already there, so we get to touch base about their plans for the next day, anything that may have changed. And then I then stay, if the venue is somewhere where there is a room that I can book, then I generally tend to stay there just for convenience. But if not, then I end up going sort of B&B as local to as possible. And then, I'm there from the day that the time that the bride and groom need you, whether that's first thing or whether it's later in the day. And then they're all day, and then I return back. I normally hang around the next morning, pop back up to say my goodbyes, and then head off sort of mid-afternoon the next day, really.
Because sometimes they have like a next day barbecue or a couple of things. Do you kind of get to stay and do some more shots?
Yeah, so one of the weddings I did in 2018, we had, I sort of went back to my place sort of on the night of the wedding, and then we went back up at about sort of 11 a.m. And they had a big barbecue, sort of set the big banquet tables out, and we had a big barbecue, big breakfast all together, and bride and groom opened some of their gifts with their family that made, which was lovely. And their venue, they had sort of lots of high points, so I just sort of nipped back up and got a few images for them on that day as well, just as a chance as they're opening their presents, saying their goodbyes to people that were travelling home. So that was really, really nice, actually.
Isn't it? That's what's so nice, and especially like in the morning, you're kind of getting the bride getting ready and the groom getting ready, and then getting through the day, and then going through to the evening and a little bit the next day. You're kind of literally capturing that whole. Because that's what I love about photography is, all the different suppliers are there for that time, and you're there. But when you go, they're left with something that is their whole day. You're kind of really important and a big part to play in a wedding, because you are the memory of that day.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of like, it's such a huge privilege to be part of that big day, because you are the first person or one of the first people to see the bride in her dress. You're the first person to get the images for that first kiss and things like that. Like, that's your job, and the fact that they've trusted you to be involved, that sort of that depth is lovely. It's really special, and honestly, I think most photographers do feel really privileged to get the opportunity to be that heavily involved, to be able to capture those images and to give them to them at the end of the day, so they've got something to remember. And I don't know about yourself, but on my wedding day, I sort of look back at photos and think, oh my God, Joe, I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's so surreal, is it? The whole day goes so quick. You just kind of, it's almost like your out of body experience. You're watching someone else get married, and there are bits that you forget. But I completely get where you're coming from. Obviously, being the bridal hairstylist, I kind of used to go, they've got friends they've known all their life, and they're not allowed in the room, and I am, and I love it. I'm kind of in here, and they're obviously the most vulnerable as well, because they're nervous, they're excited, or they're just a bit scared, so they're being there to kind of help them through all of that, and for you to be able to capture those moments as well just shows. And it's also really nice afterwards as well for the groom and the bride to see what each other did that day.
Absolutely love that. I had a couple, and they had bought each other gifts for one another, and so we sort of managed to capture the reactions for both of them opening up their gifts. Captured bride, and my second shooter captured the groom. And then when they got given their album, they were then able to see how the other one reacted. And she said, "Oh my God, you're laughing. I spent all my time thinking about that present. You're laughing at it." But you know, she wouldn't have got that if she hadn't have had someone to take those photos. She wouldn't have known the reaction if there wasn't someone there to capture that. So yeah, it is really lovely. It is, and like you say, the fact that you're there first and you get to see.
And you're so lucky as well, so kind of be a little bit jealous of the photographers, because I would, you know, depending on the bride as well, we'd get on well, and sometimes they'd have a couple of dress changes, so we would stay on a bit longer and do different hairstyles and stuff. But there was a point then that we've done our thing, we've connected, we get on really well, and then we kind of have to go. But you get to stay, and then you get to carry on and finish through the rest of the day. And then at the end, when the photos would come back, and they would be really kind and say, you know, if you want any photos, take a look, come and have a look at our gallery. And then I would then be watching from the minute I'd gone, seeing the story unravel for the rest of the day. And I felt like I'd kind of been part of it, and then I could see the day. I actually felt like I'd carried on that day with them just from the images. So I just think that is so special that you guys can do that. And I heard you say that you had a second shooter. So do you tell me about that? What's your kind of plan? Do they come and carry your bags, or do they come and take shots as well and things like that?
They do a little bit of both, to be honest. They come over with me, you know, bit of a travelling buddy, but also it's somebody to help me out in terms of holding flash when there isn't necessarily somewhere to put it, you know, moving equipment when I'm not able to. But it's also mainly about having a second pair of eyes. So while you're off doing Mr. and Mrs. shots, for example, Granny's having a good old boogie, or, you know, someone's telling a hilarious joke, it's having someone there to also capture that. But you also mentioned about, you know, bride getting ready. Obviously there's only one of me, so I can only be with bride getting ready, but there's also someone available that, should they want it, we can also have a second shooter available to do groom prep as well. So going to be with the groom, so that the bride can also see groom's morning, getting ready. They generally tend to start getting ready a lot later, because they're normally sitting downstairs having a few drinks with, you know, with their groomsmen or whatever while they're waiting. But you know, it's an opportunity for someone to do that as well, having everyone everywhere all the time.
So tell me a little bit about your style of photography. What are you kind of a bit reportage or documentary style? What do you bring?
Mostly documentary. So I will just, and my second shooter, we will capture the day as it unravels, you know, from morning to end. We don't do a lot of, right, say cheese. Obviously we'll set up some shots for those nighttime shots, and, you know, Mr. and Mrs. shots. And if people require, if they want them, then the standard sort of traditional group shots. So those sorts of things, you know, you do have to be a bit more organised for getting everybody in the right place at the right time. But mostly it's just capturing the day as your day unravels, you know, and the moments where you realise you're not really there. And that's what I was sort of saying, you know, you generally tend to miss so much on your wedding day, which is why those shooter is handy, because they're there to, you know, get everything, you know, while you're taking the ceremony shots, it's getting the reactions from your guests that are blubbing away in the corner and things like that. You know, it's all of those sorts of things. Whilst my main focus is on the bride and groom, your second shooter is getting, you know, Auntie Noreen who's sobbing in the corner and, you know, having a good old giggle at the speeches and things like that, you know.
I remember going past my dad, you know, when we're going back a long time ago, but we would do the line as we go. So when we were leaving at the end of the night, and you'd go past and shake everyone's hand or through the arch and say thank you for having a nice, I saw my dad, gave him a quick hug, and I just carried on walking. And then when the photos came, my dad was like crying his eyes out, and I didn't even notice, because I felt terrible. I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even kind of give you that extra, you're crying hug, you know. But it was being able to see that other people were very emotional on that day was really, really good.
I love it when, you know, you look back at my wedding photos as well, you've got Nan sat in the corner with her tissue, and, you know, you've also got during speeches. I absolutely love you know, during speeches, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the day, because as a photographer, like you say, you know, you're already heavily involved, but you just get that insight, that little bit further insight into the bride and groom's big, you know, their lives and their big day, when the best men's telling stories of what the groom used to be like, and father of the bride, you know, giving information of how this beautiful woman has grown up and everything that she's achieved. I absolutely love speeches. And whilst I'm there mainly focusing on capturing the bride and groom and things like that, you've got your second shooter who's there getting everybody laughing and everything and raising glasses, but you also get the second shooter and myself getting the children that are sort of being cheeky at the table and all those sorts of things. And you know, it's absolutely everything that you just don't think of and you don't realise is happening when you're actually getting married. It's all the little bits and all the little details, the children playing, the toys at the table, that sort of stuff.
It's your biggest day of your life, really, and I still maintain it is. It's the biggest day of your life, and when you go back and you do see all those things you miss, you realise how important it was and what was there. So yeah, I definitely love photography for that. So just explain a little bit about what is included in your package. Do you kind of give prints at the end, or do you give a memory stick? What do you offer?
So mainly offer an album if an album is required, but then it is also digital downloads and a memory stick as well. So you get an online gallery, which is what I've found most popular, to be completely honest. Most people want to download them and they want them on their phone straight away so they can upload them.
Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone wants them instantly. So with the app, it means that they're able to download all their images straight away, and then they can share as much as they like. They can also then do with them as they please. If they want to order themselves things like canvases and stuff like that, they can do that. I also give a memory stick as well, just as an extra backup, normally personalised with their new Mr. and Mrs. name on as well. And I can also then order albums if they would also like an album as well. So yeah, but mainly,
family, don't they? They usually like to order photos.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what's the great thing about the downloads, is that they can then kind of do that themselves, and they can order them as they wish then through the downloads. But yeah, people want them then. They don't want to wait forever. Once the gallery is done, they want their photos.
And
I totally get it.
Do you do much editing after? Do you have to do it? Do you kind of get it so it's such a natural, lovely light that you don't have to? Or do you sort of play around and do a lot of editing after?
I don't do mass editing because, you know, as documentary style goes, it is kind of how the day goes. You're mainly shooting with a lot of natural light. And this is what I said at the beginning, you know, France is beautiful for natural light because for some reason, every day, no matter, even if it's raining, the light is always on point in France. It's just perfect. So I try not to use too much artificial light, but obviously come evening when you're using flashes and stuff like that, there is a little bit more editing involved. But yeah, it's mainly taking the day as it is and little bits of editing. Obviously, if there's things that the bride wants edited out, we can do that. Yeah. You always get the odd bride that says, oh, you know, make the chins a bit slimmer, make this, make that. I don't do that unless it's requested. You know, I take it as the day is because that's your day. That's how you look. I think beautiful, take it as it is. But if people want that, you know, we can certainly do more editing if that's required.
And I bet you've got some funny stories. What got you into photography originally? Is it just something you've always wanted to do? How did you get into photography?
I'm photo obsessed. I love photos. I love taking photos. And to be completely honest, I would always just take photos for my friends. They'd be over with their children playing in the garden. And I'd get the camera out and just take photos. And they're going, seriously, you don't want to go back to working in a nursery with children? Why are you not doing this as your job? You enjoy it, you love it, you're good at it. Why aren't you doing it? And I kept sort of saying, oh, I'm a bit, no, don't know, I think I'm a bit too scared, I don't really fancy that. I like to think of myself as quite chatty, and actually weddings are great for that. Chit-chatting, being involved, being sociable, it's all the things that I enjoy. And my husband sort of said, you know, we don't need you to go back to nursery nursing, so if you're going to do it, do it. We did, and here we are. And
how long have you been hairdressing? No, that's me. How long have you been a photographer for now?
I've been doing it for about 2.5, 3 years. So, but obviously that's sort of as my job. Prior to that, I've always had a camera. There's always been a camera somewhere. I've always been the one that people, even my friends now, you know, even with my iPhone, people say, oh, we don't need to worry about camera. Sam's coming.
She'll capture it.
Night out. I didn't get any photos the next morning. Sam, where's the photos? You've not uploaded them yet.
Well, you seem really bubbly and really personable, and I think it, like, you know, such a positive atmosphere at the wedding. So having you around, I think, would just make it really fantastic.
It's a bit of a crazy day. I just, like you say, I love being involved. I love having that day with them, and you know, I like being around, and it's all the little things that people don't think of. You know, we've got spare sewing kits in my photography bag. I've got spare safety pins. All the things that on the day you panic, it's all right, I've got them. They're in my bag. Don't worry.
We used to have that for anyone, like, because obviously we were there, and you're probably the same when you're there in the morning, and then like it would get so hot sometimes in France, and the brides couldn't get their shoes on, and we'd be like, it's all right, we've got talc, let's put talc on your shoes, and then they'd all be getting the talc and the thing, and don't worry, we've got a needle, or something, buttons fallen off, and we literally had this little emergency kit wherever we went, and it was, you know, those little things, they're brilliant. They're brilliant.
Yeah, so, I love it. It's great.
Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything you want to say to our couples?
No, so if you are a UK-based couple, then obviously in terms of meeting, it is a lot easier. I generally with my packages offer pre-wedding shoots, so the opportunity for the bride and groom to work with me. We call it an engagement shoot or a pre-wedding shoot, you know. It gives you more images, but it also gives me the chance to work out how you feel behind the camera, so I know what's best for you and how we can work together. And also I have had brides or grooms in fact say to me, actually please don't take any photos of my right side, so I know then for the big day to make sure I try and capture from this side or whatever works best for them. But it's also to touch base with them about their big day, find out how their day is going to work. If there's anything, what I've also had before, it's an opportunity for the groom to whisper in my ear that there's a surprise organised, so I know then when to capture, to where to be at the right times, all those sorts of things. You know, it's an opportunity just to run through the day plans, but also gives more images and celebrate the fact that you're engaged and there's a wedding upcoming. So
and just to have that excitement of not having to, you know, a lot of the suppliers will be based in France, so having someone that they can actually go, oh, she's only there, or we can go and see, or you know, that's a really good point to say, really, to sort of say, you know, you're there to meet them in the UK if it's a UK bride prior. So yeah, that's, to be honest, great.
Not UK as well, to a degree I'm still happy to go ahead and do that. People want to meet, I'm more than happy to make the journey and go and meet elsewhere, you know, that's really not a problem at all. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to meet with each other and make sure that everybody's happy as well before the big day. That's the most important thing, making sure that they're happy with how I work and that I can know that exactly what they're after, and they can just sort of give me a heads up on anything that might need to be mentioned before, and to do that face to face rather than on a computer or over the phone is always quite nice.
Yeah, and do you happy to travel anywhere in France, or have you got a particular area that's easier for you? Or
no, anywhere, to be honest. I'm a confident driver, I'm a confident traveller, so anywhere, you know, I'm not bothered at all. I've done a wedding in Spain, you know, anywhere around the world I'm more than happy to travel, so it's lovely.
Oh, well, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me and just getting us to know you a little bit more. And yeah, I think any couple will be absolutely lucky to have you, and your photography is amazing. So please come and see Samantha Cook on our website. There is a contact form at the bottom, which you can actually email Samantha directly just to check availability and just to find out a little bit more. So thank you very much. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And really look forward to hearing all your stories, and hopefully for next year. So you still got some availability for next year?
Yep, still got some availability for next year. Mainly sort of a few dates next summer, obviously with everything that's been going on in the universe in the last sort of 5-6 months. We've had some dates that have been pushed over to next year, so it is starting to fill, because as people are having to postpone, we're having to push through to next year, but there are still some dates available for next year. So yeah, drop me a message.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks.